Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley, and alongside me for another election, Neil Middleton. We welcome you to our 2019 election headquarters.
A big night here in Kentucky as we learn who will square off in November, not just in the governor's race, but in all statewide offices.
At the top of the ticket tonight, of course, the race for governor. Governor Matt Bevin is trying to fend off Laurel County State Representative Robert Goforth and others. We begin tonight with WYMT's Will Puckett, who is with the Bevin campaign at the governor's mansion in Frankfort. Will?
Stephen Neal, Governor Bevin is asking Kentuckians to give him another 4 years in office. Throughout his campaign ads, the governor has been saying he and his administration are just getting started. This morning after voting, he laid out some of his priorities while talking with the West Virginia radio station. One of those topics included modernizing the state's tax code. Another talking point through this primary: pension reform. Just a few weeks ago, the governor vowed to tackle another special session to tackle the failing system, which would be his second since the fall, but there is still no word when he might do so. The Bevin administration drafted a bill to bring relief to quasi-governmental agencies, but Republican leadership said just last week that the governor lacks the votes necessary to get that bill passed. All of that comes following a general session where lawmakers passed a similar bill, which the governor vetoed. All of this obviously weighing on the minds of Kentuckians as they head to the polls that close in just about 30 minutes. Stephen Neal.
All right, Will, thank you very much. Kind of interesting. The governor is not really holding an election party tonight, just a news conference after the results are in. Of course, we'll be streaming that hopefully live a little bit later on. Well, the governor's biggest competition, as we mentioned earlier, comes from State Representative Robert Goforth. But he is somewhat of a newcomer to politics.
That's right, Steve. He won his first special election in January of 2018 to succeed former State Representative Marie Rader, who resigned.
Goforth then followed it up with a win that November. WYMT's Phil Pendleton is in Lexington, where Goforth is hoping for a big upset tonight.
Well, Robert Goforth is hoping to celebrate a big underdog victory tonight here in unseating Republican Governor Matt Bevin here at the Marriott Griffin Gate Hotel. This is where his election celebration will take place. He's told us back when he announced in early January in London that he has accomplished a lot in both his professional and his personal life, somewhat of an underdog, doing things that others said he could not do. Tonight, he is trying to do the same thing and winning the Republican primary for governor of Kentucky. Now, this morning we caught up with him voting in Laurel County. Said he felt very good about his campaign.
I've been all across Kentucky and talked to voters everywhere. They want to change. They want Kentucky to head in a new direction.
Goforth has done a lot of his work on his own. He has spent a lot of his own money, about $750,000. He says he's logged about 10,000 miles on his pickup truck. Tonight we'll see if it all pays off. In Lexington, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Phil, thank you. Others challenging Governor Bevin include Ike Lawrence and William Woods. The latest polling numbers have Governor Bevin as the clear frontrunner.
An area Goforth hopes to have a very strong showing is in the Cumberland Valley. However, election officers in Bell County this afternoon said the numbers have been lower than they had hoped for and would like to see more people take voting in the primary elections more seriously.
Well, it's the one American privilege we have left. So I think everybody should take advantage of that privilege we still have.
Election officers were hoping the polling numbers would pick up when people got off work before the polls close.
A packed field for Democrats heading to the polls today. It appears there might be three strong contenders in the governor's race. Attorney General Andy Beshear, House Minority Leader Rocky Adkins, former State Auditor Adam Edlin, and Lexington businessman Jeff Young all want to win that party's nomination. Some think it will come down to Beshear and Adkins, but do not be surprised if Edlin also has a very strong showing. Young is a familiar name on Kentucky ballots, but is considered a very long shot. Now, we'll have much more on the Democrats running for governor coming up tonight at 6.
Floyd County native Allison Ball is waiting to see who she will face off against in November. The Republican state treasurer is running unopposed tonight. On the Democratic side, it is Michael Bowman facing off against Josh Mears. Bowman ran for Jefferson County clerk in November but lost. Mears sought election to the Kentucky House of Representatives to represent District 88, but he lost in the primary last May.
State Auditor Mike Harmon is seeking a second term. He upset Adam Edlin 4 years ago in November. 3 Democrats are challenging each other tonight in hopes of knocking off the incumbent this November. The candidates are Jefferson County teacher Kelsey Hayes Coots, Sherry Donahue, who is a Navy vet and she also worked for the FBI, and Chris Toby, who calls himself a public pension expert. Now, election officials want you to keep an eye out for any possible voter fraud.
Now, if you suspect any illegal activity, you can report it to the Attorney General's vote fraud hotline at 1-800-328-VOTE. It will be staffed until the polls close today at 6.
Well, overall, it's been another beautiful day here in the mountains. Hopefully you got out and voted today. You'll notice as we go ahead and take a look at a few of those cameras, looking up into Interstate 64 and Moorhead, just seeing a few high clouds over there, but overall dry conditions. And as we look over into Jackson, we're seeing those beautiful blue skies, 75 degrees, very comfortable. Those dew points a little high, but still feeling pretty good out there. You'll notice a little bit cooler as well, but check out this temperature gradient. Lower 70s up into the Big Sandy region, lower 80s down into the Cumberland Valley. Warm front is starting to make its way into parts of Tennessee and slowly getting into parts of Kentucky as well. Satellite and radar, you'll see those high clouds really mainly in the Big Sandy region. That's due to that system just to the north of us. Good news is we have stayed dry throughout the day. Warm up tremendously as we head into your Wednesday. A few rain chances also possible as we head into the next few days, and Memorial Day weekend forecast looking pretty good as well. We'll take a look at that in just a few short minutes.
Okay, thanks, Paige. Certainly cannot complain about the weather today. No. Well, Pineville police say a gas station was robbed early this morning.
Now they are looking for 4 masked men that were caught on surveillance video. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds has the latest.
Pineville police say a woman working by herself at the Delta gas station in Pineville was taken by surprise around 1 in the morning on Tuesday.
Oh, I feel sorry for the poor lady that was working. Yeah, she's probably scared to death.
The clerk was unharmed, which we're grateful for. She's shooken up just as anybody would be during an incident like this.
Police say 4 young men came into the station to rob it.
One being armed with a rifle.
But strangely, they did not demand cash.
And they went behind the counter and stole various cigarettes and other merchandise.
They headed southbound down Highway 25 East, but they didn't get away without appearing on surveillance cameras.
They concealed their identities with bandanas, and all of them were wearing long sleeve sweatshirts except for one who had a short sleeve shirt, but there was no specific tattoos or identifying marks that we saw.
While the suspects hid their faces, police say they expect to make arrests soon.
Through investigations, we have developed suspects and we're continuing to try to locate them at this time.
Until then, they continue to explore every avenue to charge them with the crime. In Pineville, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
Police say anyone with information on that robbery should call the Pineville Police Department. You can remain anonymous.
Earlier this month, we told you about a project in Elkhorn City. Today, walls are going up for the Elkhorn City Baptist Church Family Life Center. Volunteers gathered at the church today to begin putting the bones of the structure in place. 2 of those volunteers traveled from Georgia. Tommy Purcell and John Worley say their mission is to help churches build their specialize in buildings like the one Elkhorn City Baptist Church ordered. They do not work for the company that sells the buildings, and they do not ask for compensation. They are just part of a mission team that wants to lend a helping hand.
Some men like to hunt, some like to fish. We just love to build these church buildings. It's that simple.
Pastor Aaron Butler said his church has seen God working through this process, and he is grateful for the volunteers involved. Well, coming up on Mountain News at 5:30.
Heavy rain and tornadoes leave parts of Oklahoma damaged and drenched. We'll show you some of the dramatic rescues.
And while those rain chances remain on the lower side, those temperatures are going to be pretty high over the next couple of days. We'll have a look at those coming up in just a few short minutes.
It's a long day for election officials. Coming up, I'm Marianne Fletcher, and I'll show you how they plan to pass the time.